What's going on, fam? And welcome to another live stream. Happy New Year's, by the way. I hope you guys enjoyed all of your New Year's festivities. Had a good time. Didn't get too drunk. But we're back in action, and this week I will actually be running 4 live streams because I missed one last week. So I'm going to tack that one on to this week. But with that being said, and without further ado, today I'm going to be speaking on the topic of carb calorie cycling. Now, I do have a couple of you already on a carb calorie cycle. Give me 1 second here. But I wanted to give a little bit more of an in-depth explanation as to what a carb calorie cycle is and when you would actually implement one. Now, what is a carb calorie cycle? It's essentially as it sounds, okay? You're cycling your carbs and your calories throughout the week. Now, how you would typically structure a carb calorie cycle for a cut, okay? Because you can actually use this for a cut, a maintenance phase, and a bulking phase. The way you would structure it for a cut is you would have anywhere between 3 to 4 low carb or calorie days. And the way you would determine where to actually set these calories and these macros is based upon your BMR and your total daily expenditure. Okay. Now that is actually going to be one of the live streams that I run this week on how to calculate your macros, and I have an ebook that goes with it that I'm going to send out to all of you who wish to receive it. But that is essentially how you're going to figure out what that calorie mark is. And in short, essentially what it is, being in a deficit, quote unquote calorie deficit, is basically being anywhere from 2 to 500 calories below what your maintenance is. And your maintenance is literally just the amount of calories that your body needs to sustain its current state in between work, in between movement, just your daily expenditure and your organs actually operating on a day-to-day basis, right? Now, you would have 3 to 4 low carb calorie days. And it's really dependent on, your BMR, the size, how much muscle mass you have on your body. There's a lot of factors that come into play. But on those low carb calorie days, a nice little rule of thumb I typically use for men and for women. For men, on low carb days, it's typically sub 200 grams of carbs. Okay. And then for women, it's usually sub 100. And again, that's going to vary based upon many factors, but that is kind of a broad blanket parameter that you can follow to set your carbs for your low calorie and carb days. Now, on those days, you are going to want to load up on vegetables and things that are more fibrous to help, keep you full, keep you feeling full, and also for the extra micronutrients. Because you can imagine if you're like me, because I personally like to stack my low carb calorie days in a cut back to back. So example, if I'm doing 4 low carb calorie days, I'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all low. And then Friday, Saturday, I'll do moderate, which I'm about to go into. And then usually on Sunday or sometimes Saturday, I'll reverse it. I'll do my high day. But that being said, load up on the veggies on low days because it will only help you to kind of stay on track on those low carb calorie days. And make sure you're drinking a lot of water, salt all of your meals, because hydration is a huge thing on these low carb calorie days. Now, the moderate days, I typically personally set at about maintenance, if not maybe 100 or 200 calories above maintenance. And maintenance, going back to what I was saying earlier, is essentially what your body needs in regards to calories to maintain its current state. Okay. So when I set moderate days, I usually set them at exactly what I believe to be that individual's maintenance. And then, 100 to 200 calories above. Now, in regards to carbs, I will just tack on 100 grams of carbs on top of what I set for their low day, right? So if we're going by the parameters of 200 grams for men or sub 200 grams for men in the cut, and sub 100 grams of carbs for women, then, I would just bump that to 300 or 200, right, on the moderate day. And again, the calories, are going to increase because if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, that to put yourself into a caloric deficit or calorie deficit, you want to be at about 2,000 calories, right? The uptake in calories is predominantly going to be coming from carbs because we're carb calorie cycling here, right? So on the moderate day, your carbs are going to uptake, and 100 grams of carbs is equivalent to about 400 calories, right? So typically on the moderate days, you're looking to bump your calories up by anywhere from, I'm going to say 400 to 600 calories relatively, right? And then on the high day, again, this is going to vary from individual to individual, but typically what I'll do there is I'll almost like close to double what their low carb calorie day is, because the whole objective of that high day, it's technically like a refeed day. So you're trying to replenish all of your glycogen stores to ensure that the day after, if not a couple days after, you have a lot more go in the gym. Now, the purpose of doing a carb calorie cycle, specifically in a cut, is to keep you in a calorie deficit for the week, okay? Because a lot of people don't clue into the fact that, yes, we are tracking our macros and our calories on a day-to-day basis, but what ultimately matters is that if you're looking to be in a calorie deficit, that the week is equating to a calorie deficit, okay? And week over week, that's how you ultimately see more predictable results, right, and gains. Now, that being said, when you are doing that high day is imperative. You can't cheap out on that high day, because if you are, skipping out on the high day and you're not eating enough food on that high day, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose. Because now, if you're like me, for instance, and you go, back-to-back low days, you're going back to a low feeling low, because the whole objective of that high day is to not only boost your glycogen stores and your carb stores in your body, but also to boost the morale, right? Because that's when you can kind of incorporate a little bit more of the fun foods that are predominantly carbs and fats anyways into your diet throughout the week. So, this has kind of like a two-prong effect where it's keeping you in a calorie deficit throughout the week because you're still being structured and you're having more low days than moderate or high days. And B, it's more sustainable because now in a cut, you can look forward to the one day, the refeed day, the high day, where I don't like to call it a cheat day, because a cheat day could mean, just eating trash all day. But if you eat 2 trash meals that equate to, let's say 2,200 calories, and then suddenly you're tapped out for the day, when on your high day, you should be having 3,000 plus, that is a problem, right? So yes, it is a cheat day because again, you can still have deviations from your normal meal plan, but on the same token, you want to be strategic in how you fill those calories and those macros. So in other words, you want to still keep at least 80% of that high day whole foods, meaning instead of opting in for a Big Mac, opt in for a chicken souvlaki from a Greek joint or something like that, where you're getting an abundance of rice, you're getting potatoes, you're getting a bunch of tahini, and you're still getting, a substantial amount of protein, and all of it is whole foods, right? Because the average, just, staying on the topic of Greek food, the average plate of Greek food is in and around 1,000 calories, right? Like when I go to a souvlaki hut, at least when I used to in Mississauga, that plate, the chicken souvlaki plate, is actually about 1,200 calories, right? So that's a substantial amount of food. And it is all whole foods, right? So technically it is a deviation. It's a cheat from what I'm normally eating, but it's still not, it's not trash food, right? It's high quality food. Now, that being said, when, you can use this for a cut, but you can also use it for a bulk. And how can you use this for a bulk, you might ask? Well, now you're going to reverse the roles. Whereas if you're having 4 low carb calorie days throughout the week, now, you'll have 3 to 4 moderate days. I would still keep it to 1 high day. I wouldn't necessarily, do 2 high days. You might, if you need it. Again, if you have a little bit more muscle mass, you're a little bit deeper into your fitness journey, you might need that second high day. But just for this live's sake, I'm going to suggest that, you bump up the moderate days and bring down the low days, right? Because now what that does on a week-to-week basis, you're putting yourself into a surplus, right? So in order to actually grow and gain and build muscle, you need to be in a surplus, in a caloric surplus. So now going back to what I was saying about your maintenance, you want to be anywhere from 2 to, honestly, I've seen as deep as like 800 calories above your maintenance. Now that might not be the case for you. So I'd say start, lower, which is why I'm suggesting that even in a quote unquote bulk or growth phase, using a carb calorie cycle is still going to be very efficient. Because it allows your body, when you have those 1 to 2 low carb calorie days, it allows your body to just metabolize things, right? And it gives it a break from having to metabolize the abundance of food, A. B, it keeps you in a surplus for the week. Because again, going back to what I originally said, yes, we are tracking on a day-to-day basis, but ultimately what you're looking to do is be in either a surplus or a deficit for the week, okay? So, averaging out, you want to be in a surplus for the week. And that's why it does work for a bulk as well. And in, my most recent growth phase before my last show, that is what I followed. And I did notice that I felt a lot better because the first time that I did my quote unquote all-in bulk, where I was consuming in and around like 4,500 to about 5,000 calories, 6 days a week, I felt like shit, right? And I thought, okay, I'll just give myself one day where I'm down like 2,000, 2,200 calories to, again, help my body metabolize, but it wasn't nearly enough, right? It was way too much. I put on an excessive body fat. I did not feel good. Psychologically, I didn't even feel good. And, that in contrast to my last growth phase where I was following a carb calorie cycle, I felt so much better. And I feel like even the quality of gains that I made because I wasn't taking it overboard were, much higher. And all that to say, this is essentially the gist of a carb calorie cycle. And you will typically always have a low carb calorie day, a moderate carb calorie day, and a high carb calorie day. Now, in some instances, it might just, if you're doing a bodybuilding competition prep, for instance, like there's been shows where I'll go 6 low and 1 extremely high, but I do advise against that just because psychologically it ingrains very poor habits, right? And it almost entices like binge eating. So it's not something that I ever really do recommend, but just, for the sake of explanation, it is an option that is available to you if you are trying to take it to the extreme of, doing a bodybuilding competition. But that is essentially the rundown on carb and calorie cycling and, how you kind of should go about it, in my opinion. And again, there's going to, the following live that I'm running tomorrow is going to be about how to actually calculate your calories and your macros based upon your goals. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I need to tap out. I need food. I'm starving. It's been a long day. I've had a lot of calls. But for now, Coach Cruz is logging off. Peace, love, all the proteins, and may the gains be with you. That is so cool how when I make a heart, it actually it puts hearts. Let me see. That's cool. Okay, peace, guys.